See, the main reason why the elders don't like me is because I'm going to keep it G with you. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I'm going to keep it hip hop with you. See, I kick a version of metaphysics that's not watered down. This ain't some I'm not trying to take you to church. When I kick this type of version of metaphysics, like ain't no church in a while. And I'm not knocking people that believe in Jesus and believe in God and things of that nature, but I tend to see things from a point of view of looking down on them. I have what's called more of like an overstanding of things. And it's not that I'm over it to say that you have an overstanding of things. It's just that we came from above. We came from the stars down to this meager place. So in order to understand this meager place, we have to remember our travels in the stars before we got here. So you came to this place looking down on this place. You came here in a spaceship. You came here in a form of a vessel. When I say a spaceship, I'm not talking about a spaceship or something that's made like an airplane of metal or some form of element or, even of gold. I'm not talking about that type of spaceship. I'm talking about you came here on the astral plane. And the astral plane is literally a spaceship. This is how you got here, and you decided to land or to incarnate into the vessel called your mother's womb. At the time, your vessel was in your mother's womb, and you, through a portion of time and through a series of different initiations, you took on this body, and you took on this body through your mother's breath. This is how you got into the body. This is how you came from this astral plane into the body and into the dark space of the womb. And life is a bitch. Life is a bitch. And a lot of people, they say, well, they don't want to hear these cuss words and all of this type of stuff, but, bitch isn't a cuss words in the dictionary. It's a female dog, and life literally is a bitch. It's a female dog. And just like my man Lil Wayne said, death is the sister of the bitch, which is life. And then he went on to say, furthermore, he said that sleep is the cousin of death. You notice that all of these are females or feminine, because life is feminine more so than masculine. And that's what they don't teach us, because when we first start coming and incarnating on this plane, the women took on bodies first and incarnated here to this particular plane first. So this is why life is a bitch. This is why it's called Mother Nature. And men were the fathers of time. Like my man Lil Wayne said in that same song. I know you like, man, you quoting a Lil Wayne song, supposed to be teaching us some metaphysics, but these hip hop artists, they're not the ones lost, because they study this type of stuff. They study astrology. They put me into a boat with the hip hop artists. I'm much more than a hip hop artist. However, I try to keep it real and keep it 100, predicated upon where I came from. And I pretty much grew up in the studio for the majority of my life. I spent so much time invested into the hip hop culture and generation. So of course I'm going to give back and keep it G and keep it hip hop and give back through that modality. And you can't stop me from doing that, because that's my culture. See, that's my culture. Hip-hop is more my culture than somebody can say that Christianity is your culture, but hip-hop is more my culture than Christianity. I spent more time and have more time invested in hip-hop than I do Christianity. I learned more from hip-hop than I did from Christianity. And that doesn't make me insane. That doesn't make me crazy. That doesn't make me a hater of religion, because as you know, I did many videos. I respect your religions. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. However, there's a group of people out there that don't even really know a lot about religion. And they need a way to think. And they need a certain doctrine or a way to get through this life. So what I do is I try to offer people information based upon traveling and getting through this life on the level that you're on. See, it's different levels. And every time you go to another level, you're going to meet a new devil. Like one of my teachers taught me. So yeah, back to my point. So life is a bitch. And what do I mean by that? Because in order to get into this life, you have to walk through the gates. See, we all came from the stars. No matter if you came from Sirius No matter if you came from Pleiades or whatever star constellation you came from, you probably traveled through various different constellations to get here. See, I came from the dog star, Sirius. See, I came from that. And the deity of that particular realm of getting here, also the realm of sleep, and all of these different realms, you know who the deity of all of that is? Anubis, the dog head deity. And Anubis was a dog. The female aspect of Anubis would be a bitch. The male aspect of Anubis would be a dog. The male dog, however, this is the doctrine in the school that you must come through to get here. It's no coincidence why God and dog are like the same. You can spell God and dog. Dog is God backwards. It's no coincidence behind that. It's because they keep the truth right in front of your eyes. They got the truth right in the words a lot of times. We just don't read them and we don't pay attention to them. So when you in your mother's womb, it's very dark. See, Anubis, he was the guy, or she was the guy, depending on if you're dealing with the feminine or masculine aspect of it. It's a school, actually, Anubis is. And Anubis is the school of the underworld, or of the realm of the unincarnated. Anubis governs and deals with the soul. You see, so when you die, you will see Anubis. You will go into the school of Anubis. When you fit and incarnate back, you go into the school of Anubis. When you are asleep and in your dreams, you are in the school of Anubis, because Anubis deals with the darker realms. See, your third eye has two different aspects. There's an aspect of the third eye that deals with and governs the waking state, and you can see visions and have visions in the waking state. This is called a lucid dream. And then there's an aspect of the third eye that goes into the dark state or the dream state. And you have to train your third eye to be able to decipher which realm that you're in during different times, because there's a dark aspect to the third eye and a light aspect. See, the future, or what you would call the future, is dark. That comes from the dark state. So Anubis is the god of fortune tellers, people that see the future, because people that see the future, they have a way of being able to illuminate the darkness of the future and turn on the lights of the future so that they can decode and decipher a person's future, because the future is unknown to you, or it's in a state of darkness to you. You see, and then you have the aspect of the third eye that deals with the light. Now this is the side that you may be more enlightened on. This is the side or the aspect of the third eye when you, for instance, if you make a pact with one of your ancestors, for instance, and you know you made a pact with your ancestors, you've been working with your ancestors for a minute, and you done got to a point where you can maybe even see your ancestor standing there next to you, and you know that's your ancestor. So that's the light aspect of the third eye, when you see visions and colors and auras. This is more so going into confirmation of the reality of now, of wherever state you're in now at that particular time. I know this may be hard to grasp, because this is the light side of the third eye. This is magnifying what's going on in the present. So you have an aspect of that. Or when I say what's going on, I'm talking about this subtle energies of the present, decoding that. Say, for instance, a person's coming up to talk to you, and you see a dark aura around them before they even start talking to you. That's your third eye letting you know in the present what's the emotional state or what energy that person's resonating with. But then you got a part of your third eye that shows you the future. This is what's called piercing the fog. And you have to be initiated into the school of Anubis to totally understand not only how to decode the future, to know what you're seeing, but also you have to know that the future is changing at all times. So you can't get locked into the future, because this is how people go crazy. You'll see a future vision and have a premonition about something that maybe could happen, but the fact that you've seen it, you had a vision of it, guess what? You have the power to stop it, because you were so-called blessed with the vision. You saw the vision, so you could now shift and change reality. So Anubis is an immortal that teaches you, when you get initiated into his or her school, you get taught how to shift reality and understand it. And to understand all of that, you got to come from the feminine perspective, which means in metaphysics, when we say coming from the feminine perspective, it's not coming from a weak perspective. See, everybody wants to equate femininity with being weak. Women are very strong. Just like men are very strong in certain respects. We're not talking about strength or weakness here. We're talking about receiving versus giving. See, in this world, you're really receiving karma, whether it's good or bad. You're always in a state of receiving. And you say, well, you got to put out in order to get. So really, you should say the masculine comes first, because the masculine, well, of course, if you're saying the feminine is receiving, then the masculine is giving, right? But you were receiving when you first came here as a baby. You received everything. That's right. You received everything as a child. When you were in your mother's womb and you came out, you received the bottle. You received the name. Your umbilical cord was cut. And your mother grasped you. And you were embraced by your mother. This is an act of receiving. So this is feminine. That's the feminine aspect. So a baby learns how to function on the feminine aspect, and then we get brainwashed and conditioned into the masculine aspect, which is going out and getting, going out and getting, going out and getting. See, a good metaphysician is one who receives what they put out. So when you go out, and what you put out is usually predicated upon what you receive. So you notice everything is cyclic in nature. So what do I mean by that? You receive first. That's the first step. And then your reaction to that, because you got to react to what you receive, that's giving back. That's what you give back. So say, for instance, you give me a gift. I receive the gift, and then my reaction to that is what I give back. So the giving, or the masculine principle, comes second, which bears witness to what I said earlier about feminine, or the women, coming to this planet first. You notice the way that this planet functions shows you what was first and what was last. See, we have to learn the ways of Earth, men, us as men. This is something that we weren't naturally born with, to understand this realm, because this is the earthly realm. And like, shout out to my 5%ers. The 5%ers call women earths, and they call men gods. Now, we know in metaphysics that a woman, there's female goddesses and male goddesses, but I don't think that's what Clarence 13 was talking about. So you got to get into the mind of Clarence 13. I believe when he called women earths and called men gods, he was bearing witness that men are like Saturn. Just like my man Lil Wayne said, I'm using that as a teaching piece. He said, the Father is time. So we come from on high. Time is predicated upon the movement of the planets and the bodies of the different planets. So when we came here literally from on high, whereas the women, I believe the women that really came from this original earth, I believe they came from within the earth and came out onto the surface. I really believe that's how it went down. Like when we say women started incarnating here first, I believe that the experiments to get women here took place from the inner earth, and then they moved out onto the surface eventually. And in the process of that, you had men coming down and incarnating down and taking on, sometimes at first they had to take on female bodies. The men would have to have taken on female bodies until they were able to evolve into a body that would suit the more masculine energy. Because everything that's happening, like I say in all my videos, is happening in the cosmos, is happening below. As above, so below. So this means that men had to have manifest first in the cosmos. Then they came down to this particular realm. And everything that's going on within will manifest. So the women, they came from within, or the inner. This is when you talk about having an inner standing. Because the women were hidden. If you notice, everything about her nature is inner. Her womb, everything is inner. So that means she came from within the caverns of the earth and manifested on the outside. Whereas men came from above, so below. So as above, so below. What's within will eventually come out. So women eventually came out. So I'm saying all this because you have to get in tune with Anubis and your third eye and the darker aspect of yourself, really more so than to even find the light. To even find the light, I'll say it like this. To even find the light, you have to embrace the dark, the darker mysteries. Because you're not going to ever get into the light or get into the truth if you haven't embraced the darkness. In the beginning was darkness. Remember that. So that means Anubis, even though he's represented by Pisces, actually. Pisces is a mystic, a gatewalker. Because Anubis teaches you, or she teaches you how to walk through these secret hidden gates. What are gates? Gates are like decisions. And every time you make a decision, you walk through a gate or a door. And Anubis teaches you how to walk through various gates to get you to a destination of your choosing. So Anubis is the teacher that teaches you the mysteries or the hidden aspect of life. And this is what really, truly life is all about, or spirituality is all about, and finding yourself is all about. So you're not going to find yourself if you're already perfect. You didn't come here for that. You came here to get lost so that you can find yourself. So that means you came here to embrace the dark aspect of yourself. You're supposed to get lost. I know you're like, man, you mislead people around both. You telling people to go out there and get lost. No, I'm telling you to be adventurous and to venture off into the wilderness so that you can find your way back home. And the only way you would have knew that you weren't even at home is you'll find that out once you go into the wilderness or the dark aspects of yourself and of your mind. Because you, beloved, sit here and mentally create everything that takes place or that manifests. You do that internally first in your mind. And this is why I'm talking about Anubis so much, because this goes into more of the feminine mysteries. This is why a lot of people that are more locked into the masculine paradigm, which is not just men, because you got women locked into the masculine paradigm too, because you living in a the patriarchal society is actually dead, but you living in the remnants, let's just say the remnants of a patriarchal society. And the patriarchal society taught you to think from the left brain, which is based upon reacting to whatever comes at you. Whereas Anubis is trying to teach you is a feminine principle. Pisces is a feminine sign. And Anubis and Pisces are one and the same, like I said, and Anubis is trying to teach you how to walk through this thing without eyes. How to walk through this thing almost blind. Where you only have your third eye. Imagine if you were blind, you couldn't see anything, and all you have is your third eye. This is what Anubis represents. So Anubis sees no evil and hears no evil, because Anubis doesn't believe in evil. Everything is just an experience, whether it's good or bad. And this is the type of doctrine and paradigm you have to embrace. Everything's an experience. Everything. So embrace the inner darker aspect of yourself, because you came from the darkness. You came from those stars. But in order to come from those stars, you have to travel through triple darkness, which is space, to get here. So don't be afraid of the dark aspect of yourself. And don't run from it either. Don't deny it. See, that's another thing that we do. We sit here and try to act like we don't have no dark side. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good to everybody. I'm a good Christian. I'm a good Muslim. And I help everybody. And I know, miss me with all of that. Because I know what goes down behind closed doors with people that are in religion or whatever you claim to be. I'm a good metaphysician. I'm a light worker. So you say you a dark worker and a light worker. I'm just a light worker. I ain't on all that dark worker stuff. What do you mean by you a dark worker? I work through the darkness in the hells of myself so that I can find the light. And the only way I'm going to find the light is I got to go in the dark, right? And the only way I'm going to be able to find my way through the dark is I'm going to have my eyesight trained to see in the dark. There are some animals that only come out in the dark, and they're trained to see in the dark. So you have to learn, if you want to learn about your real true life, you have to master your dreams as well as your waking state. And this is what's going to tell you what's going to happen to your soul. Because everything that happens in the waking state is recorded and stored into your memory, and you act and play these things out in your dreams. So your dreams kind of tell you where you at. Like if you have a lot of nightmares, for instance, then when you transform, you're going to be in more of a hellish state. Your nightmares are going to become your reality. So when you dream, pay attention to your dreams. If you have a lot of sweet dreams and a lot of good dreams, and that means that your soul is at peace and you understand your dark self is at peace with your light self. So the goal really in this reality is to get to the point where your light self and your dark self balance each other. And the only way they're going to balance each other is that you have to be conscious totally of both selves. And most of us are only conscious of our so-called good side of ourselves. We know all the good things about ourselves. Or we look in the mirror, oh, I look good, or I look this, like that. That's all the good aspect. But what about the dark, though? You see, what about the part of yourself where you look good, but then that makes you walk around and look down on other people that don't? You see, or what about the fact that you look good, so you think you could just go around and act like a bitch because you look good? You could just be mean to people and shit because you look good. Or what about the part of yourself for those men out there that think they're some Rico Suave to look good? Yeah, you look good, but what about the part of yourself that is a manipulator and you use your looks to win over women and to get over on people? And your charm and your charisma to get over on people. See, that's the dark side. You need to know that about yourself because there's truth in that. There's light in that. Okay, now you know you're a manipulator. You have charisma. Now you got to know that though, because everything in magic is it has a negative karmic effect and a positive karmic effect. So every time you do a spell, yeah, you might get something good from it, but there's going to be a negative behind it. So yeah, you might use doing a spell on somebody is using your charisma to get your way. Yeah, you may get something out of that, but guess what? You got to deal with yourself, buddy, because now you got to wake up with the karma that you're going to receive from manipulating that person, which is going to be some type of karma. So, but had you not embraced the dark side of yourself and you just was like trying to overlook it and just act like everything was all good, and then you go around and manipulate, and you don't even realize you're doing it. See, most people lie to themselves. You sitting around here lying to yourself, trying to act like you all in the light and you got this halo, you're an angel because the angel got lights around them and ain't no darkness in you, and you missing the point of life. You were put here on this planet to go to the depths of yourself, to the hells of yourself, so that you could figure out everything if you don't want to come back. And most people that's watching this video definitely probably don't want to come back, because most people that watch metaphysical videos are people that are trying to better themselves. They're trying to improve themselves. And now what I do is I try to help you improve yourself through the dark modalities, through the hells of the world. So embrace it. Embrace Pisces. I'm putting out this message because this is something that I've had to find or refine in myself. You see, I go through times where I totally isolate myself and I'm alone. I go into the hells and the darkness of myself, and I realize that this is where I will get the most improvement from my heart, from the hard aspects of life. And knowing that life is a bitch and it's feminine in nature. See, these are things that I know, so I have to receive all that I got coming. I have to, in order to understand the light and appreciate the light is what it really is, I have to walk through the dark. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I felt that someone needed to hear that. I thank you guys for listening and watching and understanding Pisces and Anubis. Until we meet again, I'll leave you in Namaste. Hotep. Wadu.